Things aren't looking good for the Seattle Storm. We've been down this road before. Is it any different? Any different good? Any different bad? But ultimately, what needs to change? We're going to talk about that. Plus, Roberta Rodrigues will be tapping in from Vancouver as the Seattle Storm get ready to take on the Atlanta Dream.
You have three people who are selfless like that, three people who are dangerously disciplined like that, and you have a coach that also embodies all of those characteristics. You can expect good basketball.
I love interacting with the fans. I'm excited for them to cheer for us because it's hell when you come here. I even welcome people that could be skeptical because it's new.
There's going to be a standard of excellence and discipline in everything that we do.
The Pacific Northwest, this area, how passionate they are. It's culture everywhere, but it's great culture here. That's what I want to be a part of, to compete for a championship. That's everybody's goal. And I think it's just how we go about things and habits that we create. I want to be around winners that'll help us get closer to that.
And that's what the fans can expect. And we're going to have some fun.
Not sure how fun things are for Nneka Ogwumike and the rest of the Seattle Storm roster right now as they are riding a 6-game skid. My name is Erica L. Ayala, your host, your co-host of Tempestade Talk, also the founder of Black Rosie Media, which is our network, our platform where we are empowering Black women and melanated creators in sports media. We also prioritize telling their stories through our storytelling. I'm back here at, this is not really headquarters. Headquarters is somewhere else, but tomorrow's a travel day, so I am operating from my domicile here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have Roberta Rodrigues, who's on the road. She's wrapping up some reporting after shoot around and will join us shortly here. But it's been a tough road. It's been a tough road for this Seattle Storm team. And we knew coming into the season, we talked about it all year, all off season, that there were some holes. There were definitely some holes in this Seattle Storm roster. I think we're seeing where some of that is coming from. We've seen them make some additions, but is it enough? And that's really what we're going to talk about. They've dropped 6 games. They're going to play Atlanta tonight. The hottest team in the league right now has pushed their way up to second place, are 8-2. The only team with a better record in the last 10 games than the Atlanta Dream is the Minnesota Lynx. And wouldn't you know, the two teams we cover here at Black Rosie Media through Tempestade Talk, which of course is the Seattle Storm, and the New York Liberty through our podcast, Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. They're both taking on the top 2 teams. Now, the difference is, of course, New York, although 4-6 in their last 10 games, is in third place. They actually dropped to third. Atlanta has leapfrogged them. But Seattle is now sitting in that 8th spot with a 7-3 Sparks team knocking at the door. The Seattle Storm, you want to talk about the hottest team. The only team that has lost more games in their last 10 games is Chicago. Chicago is 1-9 in their last 10. The Seattle Storm are 2-8. Ultimately, it feels a lot like what we experienced last year. There was, of course, around this time, a lot of what was going on with the reporting with Jewel Lloyd. And so I don't know if that's exactly what's going on, but the record or sliding out of the top 4. But this is kind of a plummet. Last year, a little bit different. And again, when Roberta joins us in a little bit, we'll talk about that. But this is not great. This is not great. Hey, Tulip, good to see you. I saw you hop on. Gotta Get Up also the other night. Also, always appreciate you hopping on. Anyone else, if you are able to chat, let us know. Again, Roberta will be joining us shortly. She's in Vancouver. So this is and thank you. Someone wrote this in the comments. I completely forgot I was also solo last time. I completely forgot that yes, it is a back to back or 2 games in a row against Atlanta. However, I forgot that this one is in Vancouver, and proof positive that it is in Vancouver is the one and only Roberta F. Rodrigues joining us now live from north of the American border. Roberta, how are things?
Oh my God, this is so exciting. I am just so happy to be here and see just like how far the league has gone. I have a hard time saying that the league is going internationally because Canada, for me, it's almost like part of the US. I know it's not, but it is really cool. And we got to talk to players. We talked to BG, Alicia Gray. We talked to Storm players, and everyone is just so excited to see where the league is at. I'm here. This arena is really cool and it's huge. It's a pretty cool vibe that we got going on here.
I love it. And we're going to ask you a little bit more about what you were hearing from Atlanta because, as we all know, Atlanta is the hottest team in the league right now. It's not even particularly close. I think other teams that have had nice streaks that have put them in better position would be the Sparks, who we don't want to see as people covering the Storm necessarily win more games, but they've been looking great. And then obviously you see what Vegas has been able to do, and they're really
Yeah.
in the middle. Everything below 3, is being affected by what Vegas has been able to do. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think that the story of Vegas, just picking up, is very similar to what happened last season. They
Yeah.
also took the Storm's 4th place, and what we saw, Ola Tulip, a little earlier for you today. So they did the same thing that they did yesterday. They picked at the right time, and it was very interesting that the Storm was in 5th, the Vox were in 6th, and the Aces were in 7th.
Mm.
And then after that standing was set, the Aces had the Storm and the Vox on the way, and they literally carved their 5th position by beating the Storm and the Valkyries. So we're seeing the Aces really do the work. It seems like a team that realized that they were not doing things right. They cracked the code with bringing Jewel off the bench instead of starting her. There is something I wrote something that's just like you can never count the Aces out. I think that
Feels that way.
you can't count them out because last season they started slow. This season they started slower. But it is Asia Wilson's team. It is Asia Wilson, Jack Young, and Chelsea Gray, and you don't play with a team that has those 3 players on. Just grab my water.
Yeah, I mean, I think Asia in particular, she's been putting on stellar performances to the point where, her, what was it, 35-20 game or something like that.
Oh my God.
I honestly was like, wait, why is this news? She hasn't done this already? Like, what do you mean it's the first time it's ever been done? Like, Asia must have done this already. Like, that's how redonkulous her numbers have looked.
Yeah.
But, anyway, that's a story for another day. Asia Wilson having a great time. We've talked on other Black Rosie Media podcasts, and I've been also talking about this on CBS Sports on the We Need to Talk Now podcast. We were live on CBS Sports Network yesterday, but we were talking about how Asia's playing, and with Fee being hurt, but more so if Fee misses more time than the first window, there's a world in which Asia Wilson makes a compelling case.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I don't know if you saw that graphic from Yahoo that is making rounds that puts Sabrina Ionescu as an MVP candidate. I was almost like, is that an Erica? Does Erica have anything to do with it? Because Erica loves putting Sabrina's name.
She does. I mean, I think she does. See, here's the thing, and I've talked about this before. Having a conversation about who is an MVP candidate versus who will actually win, those aren't always the same.
I agree with you.
You would hope that your winner comes from that pool, but the way the Liberty have only slipped to third place is because of Sabrina Ionescu.
It's because of Sabrina. Yes, 100%. Sabrina has really stepped up. What's the
Jingle jangle. That's
jingle,
right. You got it.
Jingle.
Jingle jangle.
They did what you've been asking. They gave her the keys, and she has stepped up to the plate, and she is giving the Liberty what they need right now, because without, with a Jonquel Jones coming off injury, with Niara Sabali, and especially Brianna Stewart sitting, this is not a healthy Liberty. But Sabrina is very healthy and doing really well. And if the Liberty hasn't dropped lower, it's because of her.
Okay, first of all, Tulip, I gave 10 as a hypothetical. 10 is usually a number when we dwindle things down. In the WNBA, I don't ever know that there was a year, and I said this, I don't ever know that there was a year that there were 10 viable MVP candidates. Even pushing to 5 most years is much. And there are 4 players, maybe even 5, that have shown in very different ways that they are MVP caliber. Again, where is the New York Liberty if Sabrina Ionescu isn't having the season that she's having? Where are the Phoenix Mercury if Alyssa Thomas isn't playing the way she's playing?
Yeah.
I think Leash, her MVP case, Leash and Fee for me are the most traditional, perhaps.
More
MVP,
than AT? Leash more than AT?
What I mean is, most people, and this has been the case until Asia won last year, I have hit my head against the wall multiple times when people tell me MVP is best player, best team.
No. I disagree fully.
I've always disagreed with that. That's what I mean. Leash is now on a top 2 team. Fee is on the top team and has been all season. That's what I mean by traditional case. But again, my favorite thing about Asia winning an MVP for the 3rd time is that people finally had to let go of. I was like, okay, if Asia's your MVP, are you ready to let go of best player, best team? And thankfully, some people did. Because I haven't heard best player, best team since Asia Wilson won last year. And I'm very grateful for her for that. Anyway, we will talk more about that as we get closer to award season. Yes, your girl will have a vote once again, and we will talk about that not only on Tempestade Talk, but of course on Gotta Get Up. And in case you haven't,
for New York Liberty fans,
a podcast. We've got our tagline down packed. We keep going back and forth on Tempestade Talk. We're gonna have to nail it down. Maybe that's why the team is having an up and down season.
Is that a trick from you so the Liberty can continue winning? And you're gonna hold our tagline.
Listen, I mean, it was a podcast for New York Liberty fans even before they won a title. So we went one. They were in the finals, though. I mean, I will say every time we've had that tagline, they've been in the finals. I'm just saying. But let's get into it. The unpleasant conversation, which honestly, for a lot of the season, we've been having the same conversation on Tempestade Talk as we've been having on Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. But the results are vastly different. And that's what I find interesting. So let's break it down. Before you hopped on, and we're handling business north of the border. I was talking about how this, this Seattle Storm team has the 2nd worst record in a 10-game span. Only Chicago. Chicago.
Y'all beat Chicago?
Only Chicago has a worse record. They're 1-9.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Yeah. And so, but like, what is it? We've talked about free throw shooting at times. We've talked about Ezzy, and it seemed like, I don't know if it was necessarily an injury or something nagging her, but she was not the Ezzy that we know and love, not the Ezzy that we saw in Paris last year. We've talked about Sky being away, but the things to me that stand out are free throw shooting, turnovers, and rebounds. which is
Yeah.
very reminiscent of what's happening in New York. But again, New York they dropped to 3, Seattle dropped to 8. Roberta, what do you see as the reason that Seattle can't kind of cut the bleeding at 4 games and is now again on I think their longest streak before now was five losses?
Yeah, I wrote that the last game. So this is the franchise's fourth longest losing streak, and that's the third time that they reached that. The longest one is 11 games, and I think it was the 2023 season that I'm pretty sure everyone in the Seattle Storm wants to forget about it.
Oof, that was tough.
Yeah, so if they lose today, they're gonna match their third worst losing streak in franchise history, and I think that would be just the second time. The thing is that the Storm had a really good opportunity coming. Well, I'm gonna go back and just talk directly about what you said. Like, what is the problem? Because rebounds are not working. When you look at the post All Star games, games that the Storm played, they they haven't gotten more than like, it's being very low on the rebound and they got 42 against Los Angeles, but if outside of that it has all been below 40, and that's not something that you would expect with a team that's very like front court heavy. So, and you know, free throws, rebounds, Erika has talked about this here. There's a lot that goes into like will and into effort. And I also think that it has to do with stamina. What I see is that the Storm has run out of stamina, and that may have been caused by the fact that they don't really have like a solid bench. They lost Katie Lou Samuelson for injury. Tulip is asking about AC and her trade request. That was one of the things that I was doing, Erika, that got me late. I did get a little update on the situation that I'll be happy to share here, because there has been a lot of noise. So I was really looking for like some solid understanding of what happened, and we can talk about that later. Uh, what I see is that the Storm has run out of stamina. That I had already seen glimpses of it during the start of the season, but they still had some gas. Maybe the All-Star break kind of like broke that, the rhythm that they were going. But even when you look here right before the All-Star game, they were already starting to be inconsistent. The reality is that you have Neko Gumake, Skylar Diggins. They are carrying the team. They are the players who are, they are playing very long minutes. Neko Gumake leads the team with points. Skylar leads the team with points and assists, and it's a player with over 10 years of league experience. This is not to say that, they are old, but, we're talking about sports. Their job involves their body, and the reality is that when you look at the Atlanta Dream, they have young players. When you look at the Minnesota Lynx, the New York Liberty, there are two things. One is it's the stamina, and two is the lack of depth. I feel like the lack of depth is what is killing the team, because if they had depth, the starters wouldn't be losing stamina.
Right. And that's where I wanted to go with this. We talked about there's no true shooting guard. Number 2, we talked about how Lexi Brown doesn't fit into what Noel Quinn wants to run. And I don't know if even on this roster, if there were a different coach, I don't know how she would be utilized more than how she's being utilized now, to be honest. They let go of Zaya Cook in a trade, right, to get Brittany Sykes. I think the Sykes, and we talked about this on a Tempestade Talk. I know, Roberta, you were you haven't gotten to chime in on this yet, so I want to get your thoughts here. That trade made sense on the defensive end, but it also means that, I think your answer to stamina, but more so to bench productivity, is that, maybe, maybe this team, I don't know that I don't want to contribute it just to having veteran players or older players, because you talked about the New York Liberty. You can even look to some extent the Minnesota Lynx, and they have veteran, true,
they do,
elite level pro basketball players on that team, but they utilize them well. And you want to talk about stamina. It's an interesting conversation in a year where, again, the New York Liberty front court is riddled with injury, because they have players that have overlapping skill sets. The only players, honestly, for me, that have overlapping skill sets for Seattle, Ezzy and Dom.
And Ezzy and Dom, and in a certain level, Sky and Erica. I
Maybe
think so.
yes, but I think what happens there is that one is going to run point while the other is on the bench. But which one of them at this point, or just in the Storm system, can switch to the two?
At this point, I know they're trying to play the two, but the truth is that they're playing with 2-1s. And you have Brittany Sykes now, who can be a scorer. And honestly, she started really well for the team. I feel like it was the right decision to put Sykes in the starting lineup just to see how things go. But she's a fast player. Things work really well when Sykes and Dom are on the court together. But they seem to be having trouble to find each other, and it doesn't seem like it's not that they don't know where they are, it's that they can't get where they have to be.
And how much of that, like, at some point you have to, as a team, figure that out, because if you have two players that can't find each other, then other players need to pull their defenders away. And so that to me, maybe it goes back to the stamina thing you're talking about, but it also goes back to, this team has to communicate.
They have to communicate, and they have to, Erica, we've talked about this a lot. We talk about the sandpaper thing, right?
Yes.
And
soft.
It can't be just one player. You can't have just Skylar,
or
barking.
Gabby,
and when I say barking, I say as in like riling them up,
lighting a fire under their butt.
I was listening to the Foot Around and Find Out podcast that the Stud Buds were, right? And what did Natisha Heidman and Courtney Williams said about the decision to paint of Natisha Heidman to paint her hair pink? She said, "Cheryl made me cry," and Courtney said, "Yeah, we both know. Like, she called me because we both went through the same experience. We were both being cussed." That has to happen. This team is too passive. This team needs to, and I know it has a lot to do with how Noel Quinn coaches. I know that it has to do with her, just who she is. But you need to be a little mean.
I mean, you're talking to the New Yorker here. You don't have to sell me. I think that's an interesting point, and I want to use that point that you're making to bring up something that is being floated out there but not corroborated, and maybe this will
sorry.
Tell us how you really feel, Heta.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Because this is so interesting. We've talked about like Noel Quinn herself, like there is some fire that she has. She
Yeah.
has some fire. That doesn't seem to translate though, not completely, or maybe not enough. I don't know when she's coaching. I'm not in the locker room, so it's hard for me to say. You are at more Storm games than I'm at for sure. But, I want to talk about yet again, reports saying that a part of the reason Alicia Clark requested a trade. Now, Kareem Copeland, who is a great beat reporter for the Washington Mystics, we had seen the reporting that he said Alicia Clark requested a trade. Now, given what we've been talking about all season, given anyone with eyes or that can, intelligibly read a box score, it wouldn't be surprising that a player that is getting paid what AC is getting paid would maybe want to play more.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising, I think, that the Seattle Storm would maybe want to offload that contract since it doesn't seem to be working out for them. So the trade request, that made sense to me. The other part of that, Roberta, though, has been that some of the verbal assaults, whatever you want to call it, have been a part of the narrative once again. So on the one hand, we are saying that there's a coach to us who covers the Storm on a weekly basis and you are at the games. We're saying that there's a passive energy to this team. But then this makes now twice in a row, 2 seasons in a row, where there are reports of alleged verbal abuse. I'm not saying the two cannot exist at the same time. They absolutely can. And that's why people are effective at gaslighting. So I'm not saying that that is wrong. And I'm saying it feels incomplete. I don't know if there were verbal assaults thrown towards AC. Also, sometimes you can get your butt cursed out. And what is too much? Like, I don't know. You talked about stud buds and they kept it real. We've been talking about on CBS Sports how Asia Wilson told reporters that she cursed her team out and was like, if you are going to play like that, don't bother coming to practice. You're not on the team anymore. So are those, I think the professionalism and what's appropriate and what's not, there's a very fine line, a gray area when it comes to sports because of the intensity that is often involved. But I do want to talk about that. And you said that you had some reporting. So let's get into that. You've seen the reports. What, from your reporting, including, it sounds like in Canada today, Roberta, what are you hearing from the team with regard to Alicia Clark's situation, and how do you think the team is reeling after the trade and incorporating Brittany Sykes?
Yeah, so just plain and straightforward. Verbal altercation, like fight. We're talking about team discussion. We're talking about discussing how things are going. That's what I heard. That's what one of my source who I'm just gonna say not on the team but close to the team told me that there was a discussion between players, and that discussion happened much after Alicia Clark asked for a trade. So the trade request was not because she was verbally assaulted. It was not because of that. And when we talk about softness, I feel like there is this aura around the Seattle Storm. And I've talked about that even before things happened with Jewel Lloyd, that Seattle in general has a culture of just like passive aggressiveness. And that has perpetuated for within the Seattle Storm, especially when we're talking about who built this team. We're talking about Sue Bird, Brianna Stewart, and even Jewel Lloyd, who are quieter players. And you have now a new era of Storm that has Skylar Diggins and Neko Gumake, who are not afraid of speaking up, are not afraid of standing up. Skylar is not afraid of being like, just do the shit. So it's the league has changed. Women's sports has changed. And I feel like the Storm is doing the same thing, trying to follow the same recipe from previous years. But that's not how it's going to go. I thoroughly believe that, maybe they need to be cussed. Maybe they need to be barked at. But if you have people around the team, and I'm not saying players. I'm not saying players. I'm saying people who are, around the team. Every time that a more serious conversation happens, it's called verbal abuse. And I'm sorry, the first person that people call out is Skylar Diggins. Like, it's insane to me, and it's almost like coddling and patronizing to those players. We're talking about professional female athletes in the best league in the world. Being talked to a little harsher is not verbal abuse, and that's not to invalidate anyone's experience. It's just for context, and because I feel it makes me so mad that there is that image around women and the WNBA that everybody has to be kumbaya, that it had like, let's hold hands and it's gonna be okay, honey. No, we're talking about sports. This is not a work environment that's the same as the tech industry. That's the same as law. We're talking about you in a sport. You need to be riled up. You need to be, and that's what I've heard. And I'm bringing that from the same person who confirmed the 3-way trade between Jewel Lloyd, Kelsey Plum, and I forgot the other one. So I trust them. I trust this person, and it wasn't altercation. It was discussion. There's a lot of talk about production, and the trade request came before that discussion.
Interesting. Okay, so just to recap, a lot of what is being called a verbal abuse or altercation sounds like it was an all-team meeting that was spirited. And you mentioned it. I want to mention it again. Listen, what I might see as an inappropriate way to speak to me personally versus somebody else, those things you can hold space for. And when someone says, like, I'm not going to be talked to like that, then the right thing to do in a professional setting is to step back, step off. Is this crossing the line? Is this within bounds of what we see in sports throughout the WNBA? And is the problem, maybe, I think another thing you were alluding to is that if you're on this team, but maybe more so if you're around this team and you're used to a Sue Bird leadership style, listen, I don't believe for one second that Sue Bird didn't curse people out. Now, how Sue curses someone out versus how Skylar curses someone out and how public either one of them are, night and day. Night and day.
Very different.
Night and day. Like you mentioned Breanna Stewart. Breanna Stewart doesn't emote very often, but she does. And maybe, I don't know, maybe this is more anecdotal, but is she emoting more in New York than she was in Seattle? Very possible. She's also, she's also has a different leadership role. So I just want to put that out there. She's the one that has to do the firing up as opposed to the one that needs to get fired up from an alternative source. Just, so there could be a lot of things there. That's what I hear you saying. I also hear you saying that there might be a sensitivity from the reporters that are putting these things out there. And maybe there's not a differentiation, or at minimum, tapping into what the team is saying versus what the person overheard. Now, you can report that, so and so cursed so and so out if that's what happened. They used profanity.
I didn't hear that.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you report that someone was there was
Oh yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
conversation using profanity, is that the same as reporting that there was a verbal altercation? I don't know. I mean, I don't know, I guess is what I'm saying. I think this is more of a gray area than people are comfortable with. But the fact that the storyline and the narrative is leaning into the verbal abuse side of things, and the storm is, I don't know, kind of
Yeah,
keeping things close to the chest. I don't think that's the wrong thing for them to do, but it's just that the storyline spins when people from the storm aren't addressing
yeah,
the issue.
and I specifically asked Neko Gumake, Gabby Williams, and Dominic Malonga about what's the vibe, what is, how are the conversations with the team. The message has been consistent across the board. Malonga just straight up said, "Be good, like we're not worried." Like I said, we're just focused on the next day, on the next opportunity. And Gabby, she said I've been part of losing streaks that the team kind of separated, and I feel like that's not what's happening with this team. Um, and you do see that there is. I don't think that there's a word. I think the people are making fun of me, that make fun of him, the Dallas Wings coach, when he said togetherness. I don't think the problem of the team is togetherness. Maybe it's too much togetherness because it's. I think it's about culture, and this team. We saw what happened in 2023. When did the team get better? When Skylar and Eka got here. That's fact. So, and AC herself reposted on her Instagram stories that she was grateful that the Storm abided by her trade request. She said they didn't have to, but they followed my request the same way that they followed um, Jewel Lloyd's trade request.
Interesting. And
So
they granted Lee a trade as well.
yeah, exactly. So we heard from Jewel Lloyd some, like some hints on the Storm actions, but we didn't hear that from AC. We heard her saying that she was thankful for the Storm. And like I said, what I heard, the trade request had nothing to do with any team discussion. Like what happened was a natural conversation between players who want to win. That's like, and every team does that,
Yes.
And
I mean, yeah, the Liberty have done that. They had media waiting when they were on the road. I think on the West Coast also, they had media wait 45 minutes, because they needed to talk it out. And that
Yeah.
was something that, and we've talked about this on Tempestade Talk before. Yes, I am going to talk about Gotta Get Up, because it's the easy bake oven version of building a team versus the from scratch way. The New York Liberty had to learn each other on the fly, and Sandy Brondello was willing to put herself in a situation where she took the heat for playing her starters too much and for not going to her bench enough, because she was very clear with us, though. The reason she was playing her starters is because she needed her starters to get to know each other. They never played collectively all together. USA basketball, abroad, whatever. You had little pockets and sprinkles of people that were familiar with each other, but they needed time to play their game.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't think that's a perfect comp for what's happening in Seattle, because my big grudge with the Seattle Storm this year is, if you pick at 2, you play your second overall pick.
Yep.
This is not a league where you can get someone routinely. sometimes in the third or fourth round, sometimes even in the second round. Matter of fact, there are players that have been picked in the first round in the top 10 of the WNBA draft that have not had WNBA careers that have lasted more than 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So miss me with, if you have a number 2 pick, a single digit pick, that you're not going to run that player. You have to play Dominique Malunga and find her more minutes than they did.
Mm-hmm.
I will stand on that. I've been screaming that for months.
Yeah. I, that I've been much more like, I'm gonna wait. Let's wait and see. And I stand by it. I think that was the right thing to do, like to wait. What I don't think is the right thing to do is to not continue exploring that contribution. And I feel like that contribution is not being explored. I think that that's one of the things that that Noel Quinn needs to put out there, especially when we're seeing Brittany Sykes working so well with Malonga. And I think in the Black Rose Media Slack channel, someone said that Brittany Sykes was not afraid of feeding Dom the ball. Like, yeah, she came from a team where Sonia Citron and Kiki Riafan are crushing it, so she knows what
rookies can do. Not only that, but she has Kiki Riafan, a young Shakira Austin, a young Aaliyah Edwards.
Yeah.
She's like, if you on the court, like play, my dude, like just play.
Yeah. So I think that is this a playoff team? They have the elements to be one, but I think that what really hurts them is the lack of depth. I think that's what hurts them the most.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, to be a playoff team in the WNBA, a lack of depth isn't necessarily going to preclude you from being a playoff team. We've seen a lot of teams lack depth and win championships. I mean, the Vegas Aces won 2 in a row. Mm-hmm. And their bench didn't always come through. In that second one, the bench absolutely came through when Chelsea Gray and Kia Stokes went down, but they didn't always come through. Just to be fair. But when you look at this team, you can talk about the lack of depth, but it's not just the sandpaper or the toughness. This team, at some point, has to commit to doing and playing Seattle Storm basketball by any means necessary. Mm-hmm. And it can't be 1 or 2 players at a time. Like you said, riding NECA, riding Sky, riding Gabby defensively. I mean, Sykes came in and was shooting shots that she hadn't really had to shoot all year. I didn't like the last shot that she took in her first game, but, neither here nor there now. But you need... So it's one thing to have players just go absolutely floor it, right? Go all the way, empty the tank. But the next evolution and the next step is to do that and to do it strategically. Not only do I not think that the Seattle Storm know what it means yet to truly empty their tank. I think they've had maybe 1 or 2 games where we've seen that. But this team, I don't think has a clear picture or the discernment at times. And yes, that comes from leadership, including the coaching staff. I don't think they have the discernment and the trust to be like, you know what? This player, who even on our own scouting report isn't top 4, is shooting lights out. We need to feed them the ball.
Yeah.
They don't stick to what works.
Yeah, I feel like there is a certain attempt to always get the ball to some players, but a lot of the times it's not the player who is making the baskets. Right now, who should the ball be going to? NECA and Dominique Malonga. Those are the players who have been scoring better for the team.
Yeah, and so Tulip asking, what are 3 things, I know there's more, you ladies would want the players to work on most in these next few games? For me, I would say they have to get back to Storm identity. And for me, that means that they have to go all out Tits up when it comes to defense.
Yeah.
Sell out completely on the defensive side and see where that gets you. See where it gets you.
Yeah.
Because the games
So,
that were close, that they were able to eke out and have some moxie, some stamina, some sandpaper, that was because they leaned in defensively. So that's one thing I would say.
I don't know if this expression is wrong, but I've heard this to say about to go crazy and just like for some explosion, like they need to go balls to the walls.
That's why I said tits up, because I didn't want to say balls
Yeah.
to the wall.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's the same. I didn't know that they were equivalent.
They're not. I mean, I'm just making it a thing. I was like, I'm not going to talk about balls. I don't have them, so I'm not going to do that.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And
No, we
as
don't do
far as
this
I
here.
know,
Like the Boston team from the NWSL.
oh my gosh, yeah, what a mess that was. Thankfully, they backtracked, but only after they got some women on staff. Anyway, yeah, they have to go all out. That's what I mean. Empty the tank, BTW, whatever. You have to just sell out completely. This team should be able to, through extreme defensive effort, beat most any team in the WNBA.
Yes, and I think that they should have done the best out of that stretch immediately after the All-Star game against let's see here, Dallas, Chicago, Washington, Connecticut, Los Angeles. And even in Indiana, they should have won all of those games, and they only won 2 games. Now they have Atlanta. They have a tough schedule ahead, and those are teams that would be more than just justifiable for them to lose to. The thing is that, I mean, they have Phoenix, they have Atlanta today, they have Phoenix on Sunday, and then they have another chance to try to get some traction against Chicago, Dallas, Washington, and Indiana. They have to win those games. They have to, or they are gonna fall out of the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, play desperate. Play desperate.
Yes, play desperate.
At this point, JC saying, well, I didn't mean to put that one up there, but I missed the last few games. How would you characterize or summarize them? Painful?
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I'm gonna say that, like, most of those games, the margin of loss was so small,
which makes it even more painful.
Yeah, it makes it even more painful. And looking back into the Los Angeles game, they had Seattle had so many opportunities to close it. Like, it's almost like there was no answer to Cameron Brink, and and they should have, because Cameron Brink's a post player, and that's what they have the most. Yeah, the Dominic versus Cam was really cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I think that sorry, now I forgot.
That's my bad.
Go ahead. Go on. No, that's okay.
I just think that I've been close to saying this before. Maybe I've even said it as a question mark. Ezzy needs to come off of the bench.
I agree with you. Look what happened in Vegas.
Yeah,
Jewel is coming off the bench and she's producing. I think that Dominic has what it takes to start, and maybe Ezzy can come off the bench and help the team clean up things, help the team continue going. I think that would be a really good thing for Noel Quinn to try. I think that she has waited way too long to try that. It might be a little too late. It's not, though. So,
I mean, I saw this comment above. I said it months ago, as he plays like Kia Stokes with a couple of blocks. I mean, I'm not quite there yet,
Yeah,
I've
no, I
said
don't
it,
agree with that.
I've said it multiple times that I've said Dom needs to start. I've said Ezzy, give Ezzy a break. What we were saying earlier, she's missing free throws, Roberta.
Yeah,
Roberta,
she
excuse me.
is. She
She's
is. That's
missing
okay.
free throws. That's uncharacteristic.
Yep,
Gassed,
totally.
absolutely gassed. We've even talked about, does she have the yips? Like, what is going on? The fact that we as podcasters can see that, and the team was unwilling or untrusting of being able to make that change when you have time to figure out if it's going to work or not, that's inexcusable to me.
hmm hmm Yeah, and it's like like I said, I think that there's a lot of loss of stamina. I think that you know, I think that Noel Quinn needs to be a little bolder on her on what she tries to do on the court. It's I always say that, like, I'm not a coach, I'm not a player, uh, but from what I see, I think that what we're seeing are teams being bold, our coaches um, being direct about it, and I feel like Noel Quinn needs to do that more.
Yeah. Okay, so this game tonight, obviously there's a lot of fanfare because it is a neutral site game in Canada. But
hmm
this is a game that Seattle really needs to figure out how they're going to play the rest of the season. Now,
Yeah.
are they going to win tonight? Who knows? But they have to really show that they can turn it on and turn it up like they expect to go out and win tonight.
hmm Yeah, they have to, and Atlanta should be looking out for that. I actually asked Alicia Gray. I was like, "Listen, you're playing against the Seattle Storm team that is coming from a losing streak, and you beat them last night. However, they are hungry to win. What kind of does that add, like, an extra level of threat and challenge for the team?" And she mentioned how, like, the team plays well and you can take anything for granted. And I do think that the Seattle Storm is a team that no one should take for granted. Um,
Including
like,
themselves.
yeah, like the Seattle Storm is not. They might be going through this rough stretch, but it is a good team. It is a team with really good players. It's a good mix of veterans and players in the middle and young players um, who are trying to figure things out. I think that Noel Quinn is in a position that, she has been with this team for a while and they haven't really gotten as far as they could. So I think that her time, she doesn't have a lot of time. Uh, her not being able to take the team to, that far, it's going to work against her. But it is a
100%.
team that needs to they need to get their shit together and just, like, play. And Winsome said here, it seems like they're dropping effort in the third quarter. The third quarter has been an issue from the start for this team. It's like they hit the brake pedals, like they take and it just doesn't get anywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. JC, yes, we didn't talk about it on this episode. We talked about this
Uh,
a while ago. We talked about this a really long time ago. Um, yeah, I don't know that I think that Jewel and Ezzy are experiencing the same thing. I don't know. That's just my take
no,
on it. Um,
I think it's different things. Yeah, I think
yeah.
that, and Noel Quinn did miss because someone asked Noel Quinn that, like, last year the team went on a losing streak and now you're losing for a losing streak again. What are the similarities? And Noel Quinn said there's nothing similar. Those are different teams. And I
Mm,
do think that they are different teams, it's different teams. It's a different reality. I think that comparing those things is not something that's going to, like, I think the only thing that can be the common factor is the, like, the sandpaper, you need to get a little more like aggressive out there.
I mean, and so I hear what she's saying. They are different teams. The circumstances are different, but the results are not that different, which leads us to ask, is this roster construction? Is this coaching? Is this player mentality? If you had to rank, what is the most pressing issue with regard to the Seattle Storm, whether you're looking at this season or how the last few seasons have gone, where do you think you would rank them? Again, roster construction, coaching, approach, or the roster as in the players, the player mentality?
So was the I was trying to understand the other part and I forgot the start of the question.
What is the most pressing issue right now?
Oh,
is it roster construction, the coaching staff, or the team mentality, player mentality?
I think it's team and player mentality. I think it's team and coaching staff mentality. I think that it's both.
See, I'm not convinced that I think it's all three. If I had to rank things as far as what is likely going to get fixed, especially if we go to Tulip's question, do you blow it all up? I mean, the roster on paper should be the least of the worries for Seattle, in theory. So then that leads me to think, okay, then is the coaching staff the issue? And I do think that I've said it before. I do not think Noel Quinn is an elite level coach in the WNBA. Not yet. Has potential to be, but then you have 2 seasons like the last 2 seasons, and if Sis doesn't figure it out soon, she's talking about, and if you read the Black Rosie Media newsletter, Women's Basketball Roundup, Brian has a quote where she's like, my team knows that, we're running up against time and that we have to get it together. I think that quote also should, I mean, I think she's intelligent enough to know that she too is running out of time. Whether this issue is a coaching staff issue or not, it's a coaching staff issue because the coaching staff is supposed to fix the issues.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And listen, I'm not saying it's fair, but that's the job.
Yeah.
That's the dang job.
I agree with you.
And
I think that this drop is not really, it shouldn't be happening. The Storm shouldn't have lost all those games. They shouldn't.
Right. And so I do think that this, whether we want it to or not, whether it's real or not, this is going to impact, after this season, it will impact Noel Quinn and her job security.
I agree. And she did say, I do remember her saying earlier in the season that she was on borrowed time. So I think she's aware of that. And
I mean, she said that, but I mean, I'd have to go back. That's also kind of just a phrase. Like, we're kind of all on borrowed time. So I don't know if there's more to read into that. I'd have to, hear how she said that again. But so I don't think Noel Quinn, you can't think that her job is safe. And here's the thing. I've talked about this with another Seattle team, the Seattle Kraken. Last year, the Seattle Kraken were a hot mess. They had a new head coach and they were still a hot mess. Instead of getting rid of who I thought was the problem, they promoted him to president. They got a new general manager while promoting the guy that created the mess, and then they fired the new head coach.
Yep.
I think that some of this, you have to look at the front office as well. And I go back and forth on whether I think it's more of a coaching issue, more of a front office and roster construction issue, because I just don't know how this team has made trades. This team has hired, but signed free agents, and they still couldn't figure out that this team offensively didn't have enough offense.
Yeah.
Like, we've known that. We knew that before any tip-off in the regular season. We knew that before the preseason started, that there was not an answer as an automatic pure shooter.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. And
is that Noel Quinn's fault?
Nope.
In theory, right? It's not supposed to be, but it's about to be. Because the thing about being a GM is, if you think the leash is getting a little tight on your end, The one thing you can do to try and buy yourself some more time is to get rid of a coach.
Yeah. And it takes me back to, how the team was not ready for the post Brianna Stewart era. There was no plan. The plan was Brianna Stewart and only that. Like I feel like the team has been like trying to figure things out. Like front office has trying to make things work after the plan didn't work, and it has resulted in the way things are today.
Yeah, Randy, this is the question, right? And I think it also relates to what Tulip put here. So I'm going to kind of mesh these together. Randy says if they fire Noe, which I agree they should if they miss the playoffs, and maybe even if they make it but get swept again. I think you're right, Randy. I think if either one of those two things happen, Noel Quinn has to be. I mean, it's almost inevitable that she's out. If they can find a way to not get swept, even make it to the second round,
Yeah,
maybe she buys a little bit more time, but I don't even know if that's a guarantee at this point, to be honest.
I agree with you.
But if they do that, if they fire Noe, the question that Randy is asking, is would Skylar and NECA stay? They speak so
I
well of
don't
her,
know.
and I think they might leave.
I think it depends on who goes with
Yep.
Noel Quinn. Like, is the team going to fully get rid of the coaching staff? Does Noel Quinn going also mean Ebony Hoffman and Pokey Chetman going to, who is also, I think, assistant GM? So what is the team move? It's not, you know, I don't think it's just a one person or what are the players going to do type of question. I think that if part of the coaching staff stays, some of the players will choose to stay. If if Noel Quinn and the full coaching staff goes, then, everyone is also on a 1 year contract. And the free agency next year is going to be so chaotic.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And then, with all of these first round picks coming up, could the Storm become stuck in the middle of contending and rebuilding? I think they're already there. I think they've
Yeah.
already gotten stuck.
Yeah,
Because
the hybrid rebuild.
they got thrown off guard, maybe, as you say all the time, with Stewie deciding to leave right at the time that also Sue Bird retires. As far as who would replace, so I think you're bringing up an interesting point. There is coaching experience on the coaching staff that is not Noel Quinn. Pokey Chapman stands out. If you're going to get rid of Noe, does that mean that Pokey stays? But Pokey, I mean, has had, an up and down seesaw of a time in the WNBA as well. And, I don't know. Pokey hasn't been a head coach for a little bit here. Other head coaches that maybe we think of, Tanisha Wright, I think, is on the Chicago Sky staff right now. Teresa Weatherspoon is not on any WNBA staff right now.
Yep.
I mean, who else? We know Latricia Trammell, LT, has returned to LA and is working with the Sparks. Well, there you go. There's where LA got its spark. Boom. There you go.
Exactly. I mean, I criticize Atlanta's choice for coach, but like I stand corrected. He's doing really well.
Of who's coach?
Atlanta Dream.
Oh yeah,
Carl's
not the Semesco.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think it's gonna work.
He's been the least problematic of the boy hires. I keep hearing they should have a backup plan for Stewie leaving, but what on earth could it have been? Plan B was to tank and start a rebuild, which is exactly what they did. I mean, yeah, I guess that's fair. I think we're talking more transitional. If, I talk about this all the time with the Aces. Bill Laimbeer gave Asia Wilson the keys to the team.
Yeah.
And he said it loudly before probably Asia was even ready to hear that. But he said it, and look at that team now. There's no question that it's been Asia's team for a while. The New York Liberty is built a little different. Sandy Rondello usually coaches in a different style. It's been really fascinating to get to see her coaching style without a personality like Diana Taurasi on the team. Because yeah, I think it's just been really interesting, frustrating to some end, but Sandy has almost the opposite problem of what I think we're seeing with Noel Quinn. Sandy
Yeah.
is not she's laissez-faire is the term, right? She is hands off. She trusts her team even before maybe they're ready to be fully trusted. She lets them do their thing. And she doesn't get in the way, where sometimes when she is trying to rein it in, it makes it hard because the team is so used to kind of doing their own thing. That's the opposite of what I think is happening in Seattle, where Noel Quinn hangs on maybe a little too tight for too long, and the window for creativity is out the door.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and I keep thinking like, who would come to Seattle? I would love for them to continue, to bring Black female coach, but they need to. I think they need to bring a coach that's going to, be. If they let Noel Quinn go, it needs to be someone with a different way of being from Noel Quinn.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Teaspoon, I don't know if she makes sense in Seattle, but someone who can be direct.
And then maybe she would bring Carter with her. Kennedy Carter. I've been on that train.
I mean, there you go. If that happens, Kennedy Carter is going to have to start signing bodies north of the border. I mean, that's just one name that I know is available. I did get to speak to Teresa Weatherspoon at the Legends game the other day. She is coming back to Unrivaled. She's going to give it another year. I plan to be there asking her questions all the time. I just think she's such a fantastic mind, a basketball mind, and I hope that she finds her way back to the WNBA. And also, I've thought this before, because the New York Liberty respectfully have fumbled the bag when it came to Teaspoon as well. Maybe she's too good.
Hey, there was a conversation about Lisa Leslie.
I mean, with Lisa, yeah, I know she's done 3x3. I do think getting her some more 5-on-5 coaching experience, get her on a coaching staff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
But also at this point, with some of the people we've seen get head coaching roles in the last, I don't know, 7 or so seasons, at this point, what is your argument to not give Lisa Leslie a chance? I still would like her to have some more 5-on-5 or WNBA coaching staff experience. Just round out some of the rough edges, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we've got coaches that didn't have to do that and are getting paid probably a pretty penny. So I don't know. Lisa could be GM, maybe. I don't know. I honestly don't know that she knows the game, obviously. There's knowing the game, and then there's knowing the business of the game. Those two things aren't always the same. And depending on the role, your ability to play the business game impacts how your team can play the basketball game. And so I just don't know, other than being Lisa Leslie, which is not a small thing, if she has had enough exposure to kind of how the game is moving at this rate. You've got to, I mean, you hear Corey Close did a really great job breaking this down. I interviewed her, and she's more talking about NCAA, but I think it's the same for the WNBA right now. So much of the money that is coming from or coming to women's sports is still very much personality driven. It's not necessarily results driven. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking podcasts, whether we're talking celebrity rows, all of these things, because they're tertiary, right? They're secondary and tertiary to the on-court product. And in some ways, all of sports is really moving in that direction in a very rapid and, for me, uncomfortable pace. But it's heightened, I feel like, in women's sports because people want to ride the train and get in while the getting is good, while the
Exactly.
investment is affordable. Um, but that means that they also aren't always cultivating what women's sports is
Hmm.
instead of what they want it to be. But anyway, um, yeah, I think it's gonna be
Yeah, like
interesting.
Leo.
I
So upset.
mean,
Oh my god.
listen, who does Vegas we were talking about this on CBS. Does Vegas even actually have a GM?
No, it seems like they don't have a GM.
Well, that explains some of those trades. I
Yeah.
just I don't understand, but I mean, I guess it's kind of working. Who knows? All right, let's start wrapping up because I know you got things to do before the game. What's your out? I mean, we didn't really get to finish this, but let's put it this way. Roberta, the Seattle Storm can win tonight in Canada
If they dominate the paint and if they don't slow down, if they are consistent throughout the game.
yeah, I say the Seattle Storm can win against, and I've kind of already said this, the Atlanta Dream if they really lock down Leash. They have to lock down Leash and Ryan Howard, and was just recently coming back, right, off of her injury. She dropped what, 25 the other night?
Yeah, yeah, and she had this sequence that I think she had like 9 points in however many seconds. That
Insane.
it was crazy.
Insane. Like, yeah, she went crazy. Leash had 22.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
gotta make Atlanta distribute that differently.
yeah,
Um, yeah, that's what I need to see. But I think if this team can really focus on, we are going to win the rebounding battle, we are going to win the turnover battle, we are going to win the points in the paint battle. Those should be, and maybe they don't do all three, every quarter, but they have to really break the game down into small pockets and play till their heart bursts in whatever that pocket of time is. Is it a quarter? 10 minutes, knock it out. Is it half? Is it 5 minutes? For 5 minutes, we will not lose when it comes to offensive rebounds. Like
exactly.
sometimes you have to simplify the game. Like I say this, it's from the movie The Replacements, which I think is actually a remake. But he's like, I got you the ball. He's like, go get me the ball. He's like, I'm gonna get you the ball. He's like, go get me the ball. I'm gonna get you. And so then he has the play, and he took that to the level to where once the play was dead on the field, got up, grabbed the ball, and gave it to his coach. I got you the ball. Like sometimes you have to lock in that acutely.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I want to see
Yep.
this team really do that.
I want to see them do that too because they have the potential, and we saw glimpses of that throughout earlier this season. It's not that it's a bad team.
No.
It's a team that's struggling really bad, and they have to find their footing.
And they can do it. It's just a matter of will they do it?
Yeah,
Will they
it's
do
crazy
it?
because every team post game says that they did things really well. They were a hard team to play against. They executed things well. I think either Cheryl Reeve or Stephanie White said that they executed things well. They made it hard for us, but they were not able. But the team was not able to finish.
Right. So do what you're doing, but give it for another 4 minutes, another 8 minutes, another, like they have to just do more. And that's the hard part because you feel like you're giving a lot, but you have to give more. That's competition. That's life, baby. That's freaking life. It sucks. But every day I got to get up and find a way to make this money, honey, so I can pay my bills.
You tell me, Erica. You tell me. We
Oh
just
man,
gotta keep swimming like
just
Dory
keep
from
swimming,
Nemo.
swimming, swimming. Yeah, and sometimes you gotta swim fast, sometimes you gotta swim slow,
Yeah,
sometimes you
we
gotta swim all
gotta.
night, sometimes you gotta take a break. But you have to know. And that's where I know that Tulip asked a rhetorical question earlier, but I mean, the way that, some of what's happening here is how do you supposedly have great defenders, but you can't play good team defense? It's because the team part implies communication. The team part implies being on one accord. The team part implies knowing that you have your aces in places, your go-to people. There is a part of this system that the Seattle Storm players either don't know or they don't trust what they're being told is the go-to.
Yep.
And that's kind of wild too.
Yeah, I feel like there is some sort of like noise out there that, and they say that they don't out the noise about what's being said, but I think it doesn't impact them. I think that there is like
Mm.
that. Yeah, there's a certain element of the mental side of things.
100%. Well, you'll be at the game, so make sure that
Yes.
you are following Roberta. JC talking about I'm an abuelita. I think the purple crown just means it's someone who comments. We can't see that
Oh,
because we're in StreamYard,
let
but
me see.
On YouTube, I'm pretty sure the purple crown is just people who, yeah, have sent the most messages.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Our
That makes
our
yeah,
constant, our active viewers here. So keep
yeah.
responding, JC. I feel like you've got to be up there soon. Recognize your handle for sure. But Joveta, we're gonna let you go. Before we do though, let us know what you have coming down the pike, where we can find your coverage of tonight's game and other things women's basketball.
Yeah, I got a lot coming up today. I'm just doing an overview of how Erica knows I really like to cover the business of the league. So just writing an overview story of how corporate partners are engaging with fans here in Toronto. Also adding
In
together.
Toronto? I thought you're in
Sorry, Vancouver, Vancouver,
yeah, I was like
Vancouver. I'm
Toronto.
starting to get. I'm getting. I'm hungry.
Oh
Sorry.
man, keep it hangry,
I
yo.
uh, so here in Vancouver, Together came all the way to Vancouver, and they hosted a clinic yesterday. They're hosting a watch party at a local bar here, and they just told me that there is this team with young girls that are being flown flown to Vancouver to watch the game. There's only like a couple hundred tickets left. It's going to be very exciting. So I'm going to be covering everything about like the vibe and the corporate adherence to the Canada game. There's also a really cool community initiative by the league called Line 'em Up that they brought to Vancouver. And I also want to
With
talk about
Cash, former Seattle Storm.
Swing Cash. And I also want to talk about Kathy Engelbert said that the next step in the WNBA evolution is globalization, and we're seeing like a first step of it here. Yeah, so I talked to a couple players about it. So I want to, but that's probably going to come later. I also have a podcast
Interesting.
in Portuguese.
Globalization with prioritization. Isn't that the US way? Anyway.
Yeah,
Um
but yeah, a lot coming up. I've been focusing my writing on Forbes, doing multimedia stuff on social media, and here with Black Rosy Media.
Well, we appreciate you. We also know, of course, there is a big event happening back in Seattle. I will be in Florida doing some hockey things.
Oh yeah, I'll
I'm
be there.
gutted to miss. You have a Touch More live show coming up. Then there, of course, is the dedication of the statue. We've seen some teasers of Sue Bird's
Yeah,
reaction to the bust, the statue, if you will. It's a statue, not a bust. I guess a
it's a
bust
statue. Yeah.
is just like shoulders and up. But I'm super excited. I will be back in Seattle soon. for mostly for the hockey, but we'll see where Seattle is in the standings as we inch closer to the mid-September end of regular season. But stay tuned for that because Roberta is covering it all. So make sure you follow at Roberta, or Roberta WBB, and make sure you're tapped in because she's got a lot of exciting stuff coming. And yes, of course, we'll bring some of that to our Slack channel. So if you're not already, follow our Slack community. You can find the link on our YouTube page. I'll pop it in here real quick. But we have a time. We have a good time, I think, our Slack channel.
We do. It's so much fun.
It's a lot
and
of
sometimes
fun.
I say things there about the team that I don't share anywhere else because it's a safe space. And Erica created that place so we could cover the league without all of the craziness that comes around. So sometimes I share updates of things that I investigate over there rather than on social media.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and we appreciate you always sharing your talents. JC, yes, we were at Rough and Tumble about a little less than a month ago, I guess, a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago. But we're planning to come back again. I will be in Seattle for sure in September. We'll see how things flush out because I will be there just as we're getting started for postseason, and we know things have changed. Every road team, even in round 1, gets a home game. So yes. So yeah, no worries, but stay tuned. Once we know more what the schedule is going to look like, we can definitely let you know. But we want to do more collabs with Rough and Tumble. There are some other places in the Seattle area that I want to show some love to, that I patron, that I would love to have meetups and things, whether it's a live podcast or not. So stay tuned. We'll have some more details for you. But for Roberta, who's in some Canadian city.
British Columbia.
Yes. BC.
Part of your Commonwealth, Tulip.
Oh, that's right. There you go. We'll see. We look forward to your hashtag content. Hopefully Seattle can, again, keep it super simple. That's what they have to do. They have to keep it super simple, back to basics, get back on track, lean into their defensive identity. But Roberta will be on hand. You can, of course, tap in at Black Rosie Media and check out our newsletter, Women's Basketball Roundup. Brian Florenton, who's my co-host of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans, wrote about what's going on with Seattle, including the quote that I mentioned from Noel Quinn and some other things from us over here at Tempestade Talk. But for Roberta, Erica L. Ayala signing out. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back in a week. Usually we go on Wednesdays, but just keep up to date with us. If not in the Slack community, we will do our best to let you know. But subscribe and hit notifications on YouTube, and you will never miss a stream. All right, peace out, everybody.
Bye, everybody.